Hey everyone, so right now we're going to take a quick look at the backyard pond. So this is about a month after hibernation. I woke up the pond back in March and here we are in April, and you can see this thing is coming to life. We have my iris starting to grow up, creeping Jenny growing everywhere, plants in the bog starting to come up. We have a little frog right here. This guy spent the year last year. Usually our frogs, they run away because we have a lake down the block. This guy stays, so hopefully he's a keeper. And yeah, the fish, they're doing their thing. Unfortunately, we do have an issue with the waterfall. We have a leak. Now, this actually was present last year, this leakage. However, I thought it was going to be a quick fix, and it looks like that's not the case. I tried to use foam to foam up the other side, and it's still leaking. I think that the cause of the leak is that we had a bunch of birds over there last year non-stop attacking that little patch because there was all types of parasites and worms inside of it, and they ended up destroying the foam. And you know, with water, it starts off with a small hole and then it just increases over time if you don't do anything about it. And that's what happened. So here we are, and I got to do something about that. Now, instead of trying to dig and find where the leakage is at, I'm just going to completely redo the waterfall. This is something that I didn't want to do, mainly because, you know, over time this thing gets better and better, and right now this is at its height. We have some awesome algae growth, we have some awesome moss growing, the plants growing all around it. It takes time to get that nice growth, and we're gonna have to restart if I redo it. But I'm gonna redo it, try to make it a little bit more natural, a little bit more better, try to get some nice pools, and try to hide that ugly filter. I built that filter last year thinking that I was gonna be able to grow up some plants to cover it. However, the plants that I chose weren't the best choice. So I'm going to just redo the whole entire waterfall. Now, it would be nice to give you guys a step-by-step process. However, this is something that I'm not really good at. So I'm going to focus all my attention on it, and I'll just give you guys a before and an after. Okay, so first off, no denying this video would have been like 10 times better had I showed you the process of tearing down my old waterfall to build up this new waterfall. It would have been much better to see it. However, for me, when it came to actually building it, it would have been much harder to build this waterfall and go back and forth with the camera. On top of that, most of the time my hand was covered in dirt, and I didn't want to damage my camera. So you guys have to take the L when it comes to actually watching the process of this thing being built. But the outcome, I must say, it was worth it. Look at the fine detail in this feature. It looks so natural. Now, if any of you guys do want like advice or any videos to show you guys how to actually build something like this, just do what I did. I went to YouTube, I typed in DIY pond waterfalls, and there's enough advice out there. So you guys missed out on my example, but there are tons of examples online. So yeah, with this feature, one of the best things is that I no longer have that ugly blue filter in the background. At the end of the day, I didn't need it. That filter was full with like mostly mechanical filtration. And if we take a look over here, this is not even half of what was in that blue filter. I have all this stuff. These are bio balls, and then I have all these media pads. Half of the media pads went in the garbage. These right here were able to be reused, so I'm going to use these in my aquariums downstairs. And I only kept like 20% of my media pads, and I have those working inside my filter box. So up here we have a filter box that's about 20 inches. Let's see if I can lift this up for you guys. So yeah, a filter box. It has like 4 pads in it, and that is, I gotta put this back correctly with one hand. Put that. But yeah, that filter box has 4 pads, and that's all I'm using when it comes to mechanical filtration. And it's shocking to see that all it takes is those 4 pads to keep my water crystal clear. Before I was using much more, and I get the same results with those pads. Now I do have to clean the pads more often, but it's no problem. When I do clean the pads, I get a little tub, I put water from the pond in a tub, clean the pads out in the tub. Then I use that water to water my plants because you know it's highly beneficial. So once a week is definitely not that bad, and it's very easy to do. Just plug it out, and I got direct access to my filter medium. Now when it came to my biological filtration, I figured that first of all, I have a bunch of biological filtration built up in a pond. That's the reason why these koi are able to go all winter without a filter. Of course, in the winter, they're not eating, so they're not producing nearly as much waste. However, there still is beneficial bacteria acting throughout those winter months. And on top of that, I established this bog about 2 years ago, and look at this thing. This thing is insanely developed. I have lava rock as a substrate. Let's get closer in. You can't even see the substrate because of all the plant growth, but down there, lava rock is my substrate. You know, lava rock is good for beneficial bacteria. So I have lava rock, about 3 inches of lava rock. That is holding a ton of beneficial bacteria. All in the pond is beneficial bacteria. And then in the waterfall, I have gravel, and eventually that's going to collect beneficial bacteria as well. Not to mention the plant filtration. These plants are doing super good when it comes to removing all your nitrites and nitrates and things like that. We have this, what is this? Creeping Jenny. Look at this stuff growing like crazy. These things are cattails. They're going to get like 7 feet tall. And these things are just sucking all the waste produced by the fish. And then we have the plants inside the waterfall. The iris, these things get massive. They're getting massive compared to the last time I showed you it. And yeah, all these plants, all the beneficial bacteria that I already have, I believe it was enough for me to sacrifice that blue box. So yeah, that is the biggest thing. Having that blue box gone makes all the difference. Besides that, the fall itself, like I said, go on YouTube and check out some waterfall videos, how to build waterfalls, and you'll get an idea of what I did. Just pretty much, I put a bunch of dirt over here, and then I carved a little shape of the waterfall. It's hard trying to explain it. Like I said, check out those videos and you'll get an idea. But I just love the detail. I have 3 falls. I have my first fall, which is about 9 inches. Then it comes down to this like 4-inch fall, and then the main fall is about 5 inches. I love the movement. You know, you got a bunch of surface agitation. You got a bunch of oxygen being poured in. All these falls create more surface agitation, and just overall, it's benefiting the pond. Not only does it look awesome, but it's also having a huge impact on the health in the pond. Now, as I told you in the beginning, and one of the sad things about having to tear down my old waterfall was that I had to destroy all the moss and the plant growth that took years to get to where it was at. And now we have to pretty much start afresh. So yeah, we have moss. None of this moss is actually attached. It's going to take weeks, if not months, to actually attach to the rocks. But it's going to look good. I'm going to have moss everywhere that's moist. Moss is most likely going to grow. So all along these rocks, we're going to have nice greenery from the moss. The rocks, the setup has been going for 2 weeks, and I already got nice algae growth on the rocks. Besides that, we have these open spots within the rocks. I planted some hens and chicks, and these plants will eventually fill these gaps, these little hens and chicks. They don't really need much substrate. They don't need much moisture. They live in these rocks, and they're going to look awesome. And it's all about the fine detail. You want just as much fine detail as possible, because overall that fine detail is going to make the setting a lot more natural. Eventually this plant right here is going to spill into the rocks, and hopefully we get ourselves a nice scene by the middle of summer. Right now it's early spring, so yeah, we got a few months for this stuff to really start growing in, and hopefully this year we can start really seeing it. Usually it takes until next year for everything to really start looking good, but hopefully the way I planned everything, we could get some nice growth by summer. Besides that, the fish, they're doing awesome. In this pond I have koi, I have common goldfish, I have shubunkin goldfish, I have these goldfish that I bought labeled as apricot goldfish. I don't know if apricot is actually a thing. When I do research, I don't find any other apricot goldfish, but they definitely are pretty different compared to your regular goldfish. These little, like these two right here, are apricots. That's what I bought them as. And they are different than your common goldfish, which is that more redder one in the back. So it is a different variety. We have the shubunkin goldfish, which is like a nice red and blue mix. There's one over there in the center. We also have some Gambusi mosquito fish. These guys like to stay inside the creeping Jenny, and they also like to be over there next to the waterfall. And then I have 2 sunfish. These sunfish came out of my native tank that I kept a couple of years ago. I have a bluegill and I have a pumpkin seed. I do think that they're made up here. Sometimes I actually catch them with a little nest over there in the deep end, but the koi, they always eat the eggs. And last week the goldfish were actually spawning, but the koi were chasing them around eating the eggs as well. So I'm not going to get any successful spawns unless I put like a mop in there, let them lay the eggs in a mop, and then take the eggs out and grow them separately. But overall, I really love this setup. The only thing I would change is that the koi, they are a little bit shy, and I still have to work on that. They do hide a lot sometimes, and the only way to get them this active is to put food in there. If I'm not feeding them, they're staying away from me. Yeah, so I do want to work on that. I want to get them to the point where they could come and eat out my hand, like some of my other fish. But overall, an awesome setup. So yeah, I'll just finish off with some clips of these guys eating. As always, let me know what you guys think about this pond in the comment section below. Anything you would change, what would it be? And yeah, just enjoy these guys. Graze.